Hello, hello, everybody. I am so excited to be here with my guest speaker, Veronica Kusheba. She is who you're going to be hearing from today. And my name is Katie Ganderton, also known as Tenacious Kate. And this is part of one of the missions that I have for this podcast is to bring on women who are doing the do, who are showing up tenaciously, but it hasn't been easy. And I think that's one thing that I really want to portray through having my guest speakers on is you get to hear their journey. And so I invite you to sit back and join us in our conversation. Veronica is a mom of 3 kiddos. She has been in business for herself for a very long time, and her businesses have progressed over time. And I'm going to let her share a little bit about what she does, but she is a phenomenal marketing expert. And I've been lucky to be able to have worked with her in my team and hands-on experience with her. And I love her energy. I love her passion. I love her voice. I love how she shows up for her community and those that she works for and how she grows authentically and organically. And so without further ado, I would love to introduce to you my guest, Veronica. And I'm so excited to have you on today. And I just would love for you to start and tell us a little bit about you, about your background, your story, and how you got where you are today.
Great. Thank you so much, Katie, first of all, for having me on. This is so much fun and exciting just to share with other women, right? Because I think that is what keeps us going. Every woman wants community. I know that's what I wanted when I started in network marketing industry. I had just had my third child. So I had 3 kids under the age of 3. I had been an emotional and autistic support teacher for 17 plus years. So it was, mind draining. And then I was going home to these babies. And once my husband and I made the decision that it was right for me to be a stay-at-home mom, although after having a huge career, who could stay at home and do nothing when you have all of this grit inside you, right? You want to contribute. But I was there and I was like, gosh, now what? I need community. I'm stuck at home with 3 babies and a lot of spit up and a lot of Disney Junior. Like, what am I going to do? So I love that we come together. I love that women have realized that sharing is truly caring. Like, it just helps us. It helps us get to the top.
So much. I love that. I love it. And so, when we talk about like you started in network marketing for the community aspect, which I think is so valuable. I know there's so much about network marketing that there's pros and there's cons, but I will truly say when you can find that community that really grows with you and they become almost like sister friends, like that's one of the best things. And I don't know if that's talked about enough within the network marketing industry, like what can really come out of that, right?
Yeah. And I think, over the years and my different teams that I've had, because I've been with more than one company now, that's the one thing that I think we need to look at that as a success. We always equate success to money, right? Like if we're making a lot of money, we must be successful. But really, we look at the most successful people and they're dying inside because they're still that hole. I think when women join and they're in a good team and they're in a good place, that's such success, and we don't celebrate that enough.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I agree 100%. And I wonder if like, when we talk about this, because I look at where you are now in with your marketing business, and I feel like, I don't know, like you get to work with teams of people and you get to see kind of like, they're smaller teams because some of these network marketing teams can be humongous, but you now get your hands like right in the pot of being able to work hands-on with every aspect of these teams. And so would you say that like your knowledge or understanding of the community aspect from network marketing was able to help kind of morph or grow into what you are today with your marketing firm?
yeah, it's crazy too. And like, I want to share my journey to how I got today
Yes.
with this business, but because today I truly work for myself, right? I have this marketing firm that it's me, and I have women that help me, but it's not like the team, it's not like I'm doing the team challenges. Or, it's really me making a lot of the decisions. But I leaned back on that network marketing team aspect and reached out to other women in my local area that do what I do. And now we have coffee dates and we talk about like, this is working for my client. You should try this. And at first I was like, oh gosh, should I share what I'm doing? Like maybe they're going to, and they are a lot younger than I am because Instagram and social media, it's the younger generation out there. Just going to throw that out. And a lot of that knowledge of it's okay to share. Like when we share what we know, that only helps us. Like helping other people really does help yourself.
Oh my gosh,
So,
100%.
yeah. So when I started having these coffee dates, these, and I'm going to say younger women, were floored that I was giving them information. I'm like, here, do this, do this, do this.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, why are you telling me that? And I'm like, we are going to attract a different market. Like we are all the goodness is going to come.
Yes.
We just have to believe that, like, and just keep walking in your purpose and it's just going to start coming.
Isn't that crazy to think though? Cause I know exactly. I think what you're saying is like, I don't know if things have shifted, but you almost feel like there's this, if I share with her, like I'm going to lose, or if I provide too much, they're going to take from me and there's not going to be enough for me mentality that's around there. And I feel like if you can wrap your brain around the complete, like have a total pivot shift, that it's actually the complete opposite, that if you add more value, if you give more away, if you do share and help other people, it actually is going to draw more people to you. And when we talk about stuff like in the Bible, it's like in order to be great, one must serve many. And I feel like this is exactly talking about like a way of serving is, Gertie, you're getting uncomfortable. You're serving by adding value. You're on here being a guest speaker. You're serving other people by sharing your knowledge. And I feel like there's been just this, I don't know, this shift with people, the different generations of like, instead of the sharing, it's like, ooh, I have to hold it all for me because there's not going to be enough. And so, I would love jump into your journey about how you started to pivot and like, what was it that was calling you into this other direction, to where you are today?
So when I first started with network marketing, I was pretty new to social media in general. I didn't want everyone to know what I was eating for breakfast, that kind of thing. And staying at home, I wasn't dragging 3 little kids out to like go, have parties and things like that. So right then I was like, I'm going to become really good at marketing, but marketing in a fun way. I thank you for the compliment in the beginning about my energy, because that's something that I get again and again and again about how authentic I am, how my energy, like when I just talk, people like that.
Yeah.
And I say that not just as me, but people like that in your marketing. The more authentic and the more true to yourself, and you don't have to be bubbly and wear pink for people to like you. You just be you. I just happen to like pink a real lot. And tutus and all the fun things.
Yes.
But the more, I would say things like, oh my gosh, I'm struggling today. I'm trying to run this business, but I have 2 kids that are like clinging to my boobs and I can't get free. How am I supposed to work? Like inadvertently, I was talking about my business and people were like, oh my gosh, she's running a business home with these 3 littles. You know what I mean? So I just authentically was sharing it that way, unknowing to myself at that time that I was becoming really good at marketing it in that way. And
Love it.
I had introduced myself to somebody and I said, oh, I'm just Veronica. And she was like, well, that's what I'm going to call you right now. You don't have a last name. You're kind of like Madonna. You're just Veronica. And that was my Instagram handle at the time, was just Veronica. And
I love it.
That was what my network marketing business was. It was just for me. It wasn't for the kids. It wasn't Mrs. Kusheba. It was just for Veronica.
Wow.
And you know, I grew, we always say it's a personal development, right? And I kind of found myself again, because us moms especially know we lose ourselves with babies, and we become a different person, and it's tricky figuring out and navigating who that person is, and to do that with, you know, with grace and all the things. So for a long time I was just Veronica, and you know, and then people would ask me, well, what do you do? Oh, I'm just a teacher. And then I was like, I don't like the word just, because I'm not just. I'm multidimensional, as we said, right? I could be a lot of things. And I remember this one trip, right? Because we all get these trips and these incentives through network marketing. And I found myself, and every time we always go through these, you know, depths and valleys. I can't talk. Anytime that I would feel stuck in my business, or that I was trying to force a title or finagle it in some way, it's like sticking the marshmallow in the piggy bank. Like, you'll get it in there, you'll earn that trip, but it's not with ease. It doesn't feel good. And this one trip, I remember I was running hard for it, and magically, like, I was just like, put it out there in the universe. Let it happen. I'm not going to force this. Let's just see. And at that time, I was a mid-level leader, and you had to at least be that to get on this trip. It was like, you know, circle, diamond, unicorns were on this trip.
Yeah.
And Katie, you would have been on this trip. So I earned it. I earned it. And I was like, I can't believe I'm going. Like, this is going to be amazing. But I was still had that like fear voice, you know, that negative self-talk back here, like, oh, you just made it by the skin of your teeth. And I was sitting in this training, and it was the most amazing speaker. And of course, she had an English accent, which just made it like even better to listen to her.
Totally, yes.
And I just noticed that I had one nail painted and one not. So
it's all good. Mom days, mom life.
And I'm in this training, and everybody, you know, has their beautiful, luxurious everything on, and just Veronica's sitting there. And afterwards, they were like, all right, you could go to the pool, or we're going to do a round robin talk on the side of the pool. And I was like, well, I am going to soak up every bit of information. I am like, yes, I love the sun. I love to have a margarita near the pool, but I am here to grow my business. So while a couple of my girlfriends went to the pool, I was like, I'm going to sit my butt in the chair, and maybe I won't be in the front of that round robin conversation, but I'm going to sit there because I earned a spot. And somehow through the conversation, the talk got to be on something I was doing with my team. Like, I think my team leader was like, oh, Veronica does that on her team. And the next thing I knew, these high level leaders were pulling out their notebooks and pens, and they were writing down things I was saying. And I was like, what's going on right now? And it was like this epiphany of, oh my God, they're no different than me. Like, my leaders have been saying that for so long, but the level, the salary, all the things, nobody's different. Like, we all have the same challenges. We all get the no's. We all get the fear voice. And I was like, all of a sudden, that was it. Like, that was the switch when I was like, I can do anything as long as I stay with it. And when I let up on that gas pedal, nothing's going to happen. And there are times in all of our life where we have to let up on that gas pedal. I mean, we have 3 kids, we have, you know, sick parent, we have whatever.
Right.
That's the beauty of the business.
Right.
So, I mean, it's crazy that, and I haven't talked about anything about my marketing, but I feel like that point was such a poignant part of me, just with developing. And then when we say like it's personal development, in my head, it was always like, oh, it's going to be the confidence. It's going to be the belief. it didn't even dawn on me until like last year. All the tools that we learn through this business that you can then apply to other things. Like, it was insane. When that light bulb went off, like my team leader of my first company would always say, this is the vehicle of change. Network marketing could be your vehicle for change. And I was like, oh, because I'm going to earn the Lexus. Like, that's my vehicle. And I like, it was so literal to me. Like, you know, I'm like, okay. And I wasn't allowing myself to dream bigger of like, well, I want to start schools in Haiti, or I want like, that was just so out of my way of thinking. But I'm like, the vehicle change. Okay, well, I'm going to be able to replace my teaching salary. Like, that's all I want to do, because I cannot, after having my own career, there's no way I'm asking my husband for money to go shop at Target. Like, that's not going to happen. Like, never. Honey, can I have money to go buy shoes? Like, he'd be like, motor on.
Yeah.
But I was taking that vehicle for change so literal, and the personal development. I didn't realize how truly good I was getting at marketing and graphic design and just a way with words, and not afraid to just be me out there. You know, and I would say things and you know, I'd get a text or something. Thank you so much for posting that. Like, I'd been thinking about that for the last 3 weeks, but nobody else says it. Like, things like that. So network marketing business doesn't have to be your end all be all, but the value it's giving you, and I know it gave me, is just tremendous. Aside from the community, aside from the paycheck, aside from the like, it's, I think, the greatest thing out there. I mean, needless to say.
Well, I agree with you, because one of the things I loved that you did, that I loved a lot of it, but one thing I picked up was you're not afraid to be you. And through this, it's one of those things that can apply to every aspect of your life, and it can be a vehicle for change, but you have to dream big enough to get outside of that, you know, that like immediate vehicle piece. It's like, oh, okay, what does that actually look like? And I think when you say like, not afraid to be me, one of the things that, you know, I'm working through right now with a lot of people is they consider themselves their company, like their own, the business they're representing as like, that's them, you know, and they're forgetting that, no, there is a Veronica behind there. There is a Katie behind that company. It's not, you are not your company that you're representing. That's a piece, that's a small sliver of you. And I I don't know. It's almost like you just want to say, stop. Like, you are a human being. You have so much more to offer. And we often hide what we want to say, how we say it, how we show up. We, you know, edit everything. We filter everything because, you know, it's almost like there's that fear of what you say naturally yourself is not going to be good enough. And I think that that's something people really are craving. They're craving authenticity, and they're craving the person that is going to say what's on their mind, without all the sugarcoating. And I love that that's how you work. And I love that you have that knowledge of network marketing, because you understand the industry inside and out, but you also understand what it's been able to do and where it's been able to drive you to, and like the impact it's had on your success in your marketing firm that you have today. Like, it really is, it's so much more than whatever the product is. And when we do say, yes, it is personal growth, like, we mean that, but it's not just in the business aspect, because like you said, everything applies to your whole life. It really does. All the principles, it's not just in this business. You could take it to another company. You could take it to a brick and mortar. You could take it to you with your children, with being the example and showing up for them, and you know, and taking initiative and being responsible to, you know, starting a marketing firm, a whole nother business, and the same concepts of adding value and service and all of those things and how you show up, they all apply. So I just, oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. And so with your firm, like, you know, um, I love how you've been able to get there and how it's been able to shift. So how do you keep your dream at the forefront? How do you keep your business in the, at the forefront of what it is that you do every day? And what's your driving force? What's that like North Star for you?
So I just love what I do. I truly do. And I love my clients. And again, it kind of happened organically. Like there was a path being laid for me and I kept going on like, I don't think that's the path. And then like it would pull me back. Finally, I was like, okay, I'm starting this thing already. I hear you. And really organically, I had a few people reach out to me because I was doing my own marketing, and they would ask me, oh, can you do it for me? Or can you show me this? And then before I knew it, it was like, okay, I have a couple clients. I have a couple, more and more would come. But one day I was driving down the road with my mom and she's like, you're kind of like Rain Man, but not with the numbers. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, your brain is always going with like marketing stuff. And she's like, and you're totally like with being present with the moment, but like you have this other thing. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And she's like, think about what we did last week. We were out shopping and we were driving down a road and there was a big billboard and it was like kind of fallen down. It was black and in big white letters, it said something along the lines of, if you're waiting for a sign, this is it. And it was signed by God. And I, without thinking, I like U-turned my car around, parked it on the side of the road, and told my mother to get out. And she was like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, you're going to take a picture of me in front of that sign. And she was like, why? And I said, well, first of all, that's what the sign says. It says, if you're looking for a sign, this is it. So we're going to take a picture. And she's like, well, what are you going to use that for? And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to use it for right now, but it's so good. I know sometime I'm going to want that. So it's just little things like that like my brain is just always going, or, I'm lucky enough, I'm blessed enough that I truly love every single one of my clients. Of course, Katie's team is at the top, but all of them, like I just have such a good connection that I'm always thinking of like how to authentically share their story so that when I see something that I can, craft in a way for that client, I don't know. It's always on the brain. But going back to what you said about authentically sharing, it helps so much when you align with your brand. Mm-hmm. I know sometimes we're in a company or working with a brand that you don't truly align with, and then you get in that, you know what I mean? Like if it's not your normal lifestyle, it's again, it feels more forced. Where if you could just work it into, then it's your everyday, then it's lifestyle branding. And that's what you should be doing.
I love that. Well, and I wonder too, first off, I'm going to definitely be using the marshmallow in the piggy bank example, right? Because that is fantastic. It's a fantastic visual because it'll get in there, but it's not going to get in there easy. I love that as opposed to just letting it go naturally. And I love what you said too about like how you had a path and you continue to kind of veer off, but then, I'm a firm believer in like, God will set your way. And he'll let you know when you're off path and he continues to reintroduce it and bring it for a forefront for you. I mean, and sometimes it's not very nice how he brings it to people. And it doesn't just mean in business. This is in life in general. Like there is, there's little hints of like, no, you're not supposed to do this. No, you're not supposed to do this. No, go this way. No, go this way. And eventually it's like a brick wall. Like I said, no, like stop, you're going this way. And I I love that you use that because it's like he gently guides you back. Like, nope, we're going to gently guide you back. Like he's just telling you. And I think that that's amazing. But I wanted to come to a point where I'd love to like for you to share a challenge, like what you just mentioned in regards to someone who is not working in like their brand and it's not like their life. It's almost like forced because I feel like what we talked about a little bit earlier is everybody's trying to be the company they're representing as if that's them. And I feel like that is the marshmallow in the piggy bank. That is hard. It's exhausting and it gets boring and monotonous to a point because there's only so much you could talk about a product, right? And so, share like some challenge maybe that you've worked with a client on or that maybe you have faced yourself on how you've helped yourself overcome that or how you've helped them overcome that to where they're working or you're working more in your lifestyle piece instead of that forced, like uncomfortable, faking it mode kind of thing.
Yeah. One of my clients is a yoga studio. And I love yoga. I love hot yoga. I love it. This studio that I work with, I absolutely adore the owner, and it's just a tranquil little place. They despise hot yoga. Here it is. When I do yoga, I want to be able to clear my mind, but that's my workout time for the day. So I want to feel like I worked out. I don't want to go to the gym and do yoga in the same day, right? Because that's it. Okay. The studio that I work for is more of just like a restorative, like peace, calm, happiness. And she had somebody in there who was trying to brand it differently as a hot yoga place. And I'm like, we cannot do this. This is not you. You're getting the wrong clientele. We just have to be true to who you are. And she's very sassy. She's a little overweight. She cusses. And I'm like, that is like your yoga studio. Like, it's not what everybody else puts out there. Like, yours is like this. And we kind of have to brand it like that and let people know what they're going to get when they walk through the door, that they're not going to get that workout, that they're not going to get that, hot yoga, zen. They're going to get a little rough. And they're going to get laughter and talking in the middle of a yoga class, which typically doesn't happen. But since we started being true to who she is and who the studio is, it's amazing how people are coming out of the woodwork and say, we've been looking for this. We've been looking for a studio like this because nobody else out there, it's not out there. So like she found this little niche within the community, and it's just to being true to like what kind of class she wanted to hold.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I love that because in yoga, like when I think of yoga, I think Zen, quiet, don't talk, don't make a sound, don't bug anybody. Like, cause you're messing with their om or whatever it's called, like that it's very like,
well,
and I just know
that you get out, like there's no real community building. And hers is like, I went to 2 classes this morning and like we had coffee in between at the studio because it was just like, she's building this cute little fun, yogi community. And it's just because she stayed true and we branded who she is.
I love that because I would do that kind of yoga class because I feel like you don't have any community. Nobody talks to anybody. Nobody wants to socialize with anybody. Nobody wants, like, there's just no personability is my perception of other ones that I've been in. And it's just like, oh, and if I mess up and I don't do this pose right or whatever the heck I'm supposed to do, I'm like looked down upon or, so it's just like, it sounds like she's got a lot of grace for the yoga community, for those that have been in like my shoe in that community. And it's like, I want where I can mess up. I want where I can laugh at myself. I want where, you can have a coffee and like, that's a good networking opportunity too for people. Like, that's amazing. That is phenomenal. That's a really cool, that's an awesome way to overcome stuff. the way to go. I'm excited to hear more about her and see. So
The other thing I was thinking of is like we're all learning this stuff in our like 30s and 40s, right? Imagine applying it like and teaching our kids these lessons early on.
yeah.
And I was going through something with my business and I shared it with my son and he was like, "Oh, well, that's hard," and like having that conversation and working through it with him. And I was like, "Here's the deal, buddy. We have to act like life is rigged in our favor, right? Like I'm going to win. I'm just always winning. Like it's that song, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
always winning. And if something doesn't work out or a certain brand doesn't want to continue using me or whatever, like it's okay. Like there's going to be two more that sign on or like it's always going to be okay. And like for whatever reason, that wasn't the path.
Yeah.
But if you like that belief in that it's rigged in my favor was life changing for me because it's just like, all right, not a big deal. And you don't have to hold on to those like, I mean, we've all been there with network marketing where we're like, oh God, I got the one. I got the one.
Yes.
You message me and I'm going to make millions. And then the one never
Yeah.
messages back.
Yes. Oh, haven't we all been on the end of that string? Woo.
We stopped working. We stopped the DMO forever because we're waiting on that one.
Yes.
In the meantime, it's like, oh God, 3 weeks went by and I didn't touch my business because I've been so worried about the one.
Oh my. Yes. That's so true. And, I feel like that's one of the things where like putting things out in the universe, and I talk a lot, to my husband about that. It's like always putting good things out, always like, if something doesn't work out, that's okay. Something is going to come. Or, if we put out negative, like we're going to continue to attract that. So it's like, you have to be putting out, he thinks I'm just like crazy. Cause he's just like, you're just always like, la-da-da, whatever, like, go shopping and this and that. He's like, and I'm like, yeah, I just don't worry about it. Like, cause I know it's going to come. Like and maybe that's being, I don't know. It's just, I just put it out there because I'm like, no, I just know that it's going to happen. And all these things are going to fall into place the way that they're meant to fall. And yes.
Yeah. And those of you who are listening, like that does not mean that Katie and I are like happy go lucky all the time. Like I fall into my 2-day spiral when I'm like, oh my God, my life's so bad. It's so bad. And like after I get out of my 2-day spiral, that's what I call it, right? Because it's like in and out. I'm like, oh my God, was I really stressed about that? And it was probably over like I spent $100 on something I shouldn't have, or like something stupid. And I'm like beating myself up over it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think a lot of that comes though with like the tenacity of how quickly do you bounce back, and when you talk about the theme of like this podcast, I'm here to empower tenacious mindsets in women by teaching strategy and business with a faith-driven lens. And I think that, that's part of it, is being tenacious, is because it's not just about grit. It encompasses so much of getting back up and facing it and being okay to fail and having grace in all of it. It's not just, taking the punches and punch and punch and punch, but it's, what are you learning from it and how are you going to shift to be able to move forward? Because we all have tenacity within us. I just think a lot of us women, we don't pull it out. We settle for, we're too comfortable with being comfortable. And that's the thing, is we're not willing to grow. We're settled in what we are. We're settling for, the day to day, our normal paycheck, even though we know deep down, like to your story, Veronica, is like, you knew there was something else. Like there was something else. And there was this pull. And it's like, everybody has that gut pull for something. Mm-hmm. It's, are you listening to it or not? Because that's where the tenacity has to show up, is to make that gut pull like come to fruition and do whatever it takes, from obstacles to, any of it. Like it's just tenacity means you keep showing up. You keep going, you keep getting up, you bounce right back. And a lot of people, when we have our 2-day spirals, it's like, but we get up, and sometimes they're not fully 2 days, but it's like, I know that that's not going to benefit me. I know there's things I can't control in some of these scenarios. And I would definitely say that takes practice. Having that ability to bounce back, it's a skill, and it does, you have to constantly work at it, because there's been times where I've let things in my business flat out affect me for 6 months to a year. And it stifled me, and it was just awful. And it's like, the more you can practice doing it, and the more you are okay with failure, the more you're okay with no, the more you're okay with, getting knocked down and getting back up, like it just becomes like, oh, okay, well, whatever. You don't even think about it, I think, at some points, or it's not as bad as maybe it would have been in the past,
Right. And when you asked how I keep it in my forefront, when you're walking in your purpose, it's in your forefront.
Mm-hmm.
It's just there. There's no answer of how I keep it there. It's just there because it's what I was put here to do. I just love helping other people shine and be their best self. And I do that through their marketing. And when you're in that light, it's always in your forefront.
I love it. And you do such a great job of it too. Like, I can't even tell you, yes, she's phenomenal at what she does, and she understands her clients, which is fabulous. It's fabulous to work with somebody who is willing to get to know you and put out you instead of their version of you, and I think that is a huge difference, is, someone who does understand their client versus like what they think their client needs. And so, or what they think their client should say. And it's like, if you understand your client, like, you're going to be able to say what it is that they're thinking without them even having to say it. I think that that's such a cool, you've done that. And I can't speak any higher of it, because I've seen it firsthand, and I truly love what you do. And so, as we get ready to wrap up though, I want you, for the brand new, I don't know, for the audience that's like brand new, right? Or just getting started, say in, whatever their path may be, whether it's a business, whether it's network marketing, I would love for you to share, like, what is your biggest takeaway or tip or words of advice that you would like to share with them? And then we're going to do a really quick rapid fire with our 4 pillars here at Tenacious Kate. And then we'll tell everybody where they can find you on social media. So what would be your tip or your biggest takeaway or advice to share for the newbie?
My biggest tip, I think, is just, it's so cliche, enjoy the journey. Again, enjoy the journey. It's the little things. It's the tools that you're learning that you don't realize you're learning. It's when you go to have a conversation, there's so many things that we think are common knowledge because we think about it and do it all the time. The majority of people don't even know, so if I'm like, oh, all you have to do is this, this, and this on a phone, or with a certain app, sparks are going off when I'm explaining it to people, because they don't even know what, it's like I'm talking Chinese to them. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, this is common knowledge. It's not. And it goes the same with your business. People don't know what you know. You are an expert in your field. So as you go through, just enjoy it. Enjoy all the knowledge you're getting, enjoy all the personal growth, and keep going.
I love that. I'll never forget, it was so funny. I remember you did another training and you were like, clean your screen.
Step 1 of taking a good picture.
Clean this right here. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I've ever cleaned my screen. And now to this day, every time, I do not forget. And I even told my husband, and I tell everybody, I'm like, clean the camera. Clean the camera.
But it's for your pictures.
Right. I'm like, oh, this makes sense. So I love it. Okay, let's do our rapid fire. So this is just going to be a quick minute or less. response from you on our 4 pillars. And our 4 pillars are grit, grace, growth, and gratitude. And so I would love if you could share one experience that you have had to bring the grit to the table, like that you have felt like you have like were in the mud and it was gritty as heck. Like share that experience with us.
Gosh, I mean, when somebody asks if I could do something for them, I always say yes. I'm a people pleaser, right? But when it comes to technology, I always say yes. And then I'm like, oh crap, I really don't know how to do that yet. Yet. I don't know how to do that yet because I love a challenge. So I'm like, and that's how I grew my business. Oh, could you build a website? Sure, I could.
Yeah.
Not yet, but I will be able to. And then next thing I know, I built 4 websites for people. Like, so yes.
I love it.
It's just that challenge.
I love that. I love the yet. I think that's awesome. Okay. How about with grace? Like what's a time in like your life? It can be in business. It can be in, with the whole picture of things that you have had to have like the utmost grace for what was going on.
I think just being a mom, a working mom. And I never want to say I'm just a mom because good God, we all know that's the hardest job out there. But for me to be able to say, I can't do that, or like to take a break from work because I'm a workaholic. Like I just love it. I love to sit at a computer and the next thing I know, 6 hours went by and my kids are, who knows what they're doing in the other room. So I do have to give myself grace sometimes to walk away from something.
Okay. I love that. Being able to say no, like, and I think that's the power of no is powerful. And it's very underrated, but it's a really powerful tool. I love that.
And really walk away from it because as perfectionists, we're like, but I got to go back to it. Got to let it go.
Yes. And it will be there. It's not going to go anywhere. Like it will be there waiting for you. I promise. I love it. Okay. How about growth? Share with us like one of your biggest growth moments that you've walked through.
Gosh, my whole entire life, right? As a teacher, I'm always a learner. So it's like, it's funny when you look back at yourself 5 years ago, 10 years ago, because you're like, gosh, I really was some severe postpartum depression. Like didn't know it when I was living it, but looking back, you're like, God, how did we survive that? And just to continue to grow and learn and not stay at that comfortability level. I can't talk now. We've been talking too long.
No.
Just grow out of it,
I love that. Well, and what you said, it reminds me of like that person that's like on the staircase, like that image, if you've seen it. And it's like, you think you haven't gone very far, but then like you turn back and look at how far you really have come. Like people forget how far they've actually come because they get stuck in this moment of like, I'm stuck. I'm not at this level. I'm not here. And thinking on that piece when it's like, but look at where you were and look how much confidence you have. Look how much courage you have. Look at what a great mom whatever that might be. It's like, we forget this whole beginning portion and we're always caught in the like, what's next phase and that we're not good enough. And it's like, but we forget to turn and say, oh, wait, I am awesome. I've done all this like that. I love that. That's an absolute perfect thing for growth. Okay. And then last one is gratitude. Where do you show up in gratitude with yourself?
I'm really good about self-care. I've earned it. I am telling you, I am not afraid anymore to spend money and time on myself. The biggest is with a cleaning lady. I will be that was like the number one thing. When I started network marketing, it was to get out of a little credit card that my husband didn't know about. And once I achieved that, I was like, all right, I'm thanking myself for working so hard with somebody else taking care of the house. Like I'm thanking myself, for little things. And sometimes it's thanking myself with an afternoon cup of coffee or with a Snickers bar on a Friday, like something silly, but
Yeah.
it's so important because we don't get the pat on the back.
Right.
And, sometimes, unfortunately, sometimes you're on a team that maybe your leader sucks. Like we all don't have great leaders in business. And maybe they're not running awesome contests or whatever. So like treat yourself, work hard for something, put it on your little board, whether it's like a new pair of Uggs or whatever, or a Snickers bar, like I said, and work your butt off and treat yourself.
I love that. I love self-care too. I
take care of everybody else most of the time. So like,
but that's so important. And it doesn't matter the size of it. I think like you had mentioned, it's just the practice of you deserve it. Like you deserve this for doing these things, because again, like when you are your own boss, like you don't have that person. And so to have that pat on the back or to say, hey, good job today. Like you showed up and you did this, and that, you got this all done. Like celebrate, remember to celebrate that, because when we celebrate and acknowledge that, that's growth mentality. And that's, again, we don't celebrate what we do enough. We always look back at what I didn't accomplish, as opposed to like, these are my wins for the week. Like, this is awesome. Like, I'm going to go get a massage, or I'm going to go have a princess day. And like, that's what I call them. And it's like I go all out, like, hair, nails, face, all of the things, all of the things.
Like 3, like my list might be 7 or 8 things long. If I could get 3 of those done, like something with the number 3, it's like, all right, I feel accomplished. Anything other than that is bonus. And that could be like it doesn't have to be a big success. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I made a sale. No, it's like you talk to 3 people, whatever it is. I want you to talk to more than 3 people, but like, 3 things off your list. It doesn't have to be huge.
Well, and again, the whole list will be there waiting for you. So I feel like, just to reemphasize, like, you don't have to check everything off the list every single day. Eat
just do the list.
just do a few, like, as long as you've gotten something done, like, that's a great thing. So it's not like the list of 25 things, because that'll always be there. It'll always be growing. The to-do list never dies.
Yeah.
So I love it. Well, this has been fantastic. I absolutely have loved this guest interview with you. So tell us, Veronica, where can people find you on social media?
So I am Kindness with Confetti on Instagram, and then Veronica Kusheba over on Facebook.
I love it. I love it. And we will make sure to put all that into the notes as well, so you guys can find her easily. She is fantastic. Make sure you go like her over on Instagram, follow her for all the amazing tips and stuff that you need for marketing. And then please share this episode with someone that you think would love it. And we will see you next week for our next episode on Tenacious Kate. But thank you all for joining us as we get to empower tenacious mindsets in women. And Veronica, thank you so much for being a guest. I have loved every second of it.
So much fun.
This was so fun. I love it. Okay, you guys have a great day, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.